might be something is wrong, but I mean, it's a deliberate experiment, it's a deliberate wrong. And I really enjoy all that, but I don't think there's any future in imitating anyone else. You seek for your authentic voice, you really do. The world doesn't want to hear somebody who sounds like Stephanie Meyer. You know, they'll buy Stephanie Meyer if they want that. They don't want to hear someone who sounds like Anne Rice, they want Anne Rice. I mean, I would hope. You know, we all offer different things, and a lot of what we do is unconscious and inevitable. We can't really change it without damaging ourselves.
So, yeah, I'm looking at it from the publisher's perspective, because then you'll see many publishers will see a particular author has success, and then the young up-and-coming writers might be kind of prodded to go in that particular direction. That can I say, you would advise young writers to stick to your own vision?
Oh, absolutely. Protect your own voice at all costs. I mean, your own voice is your greatest asset, and it will be the thing people pick on the most. You know, they will say, if you have a really original voice, they will say, well, I don't know what to do with this. This is really weird. This doesn't seem to belong anywhere. I mean, you have to ignore that. You have to say, but this is really what I'd like to do. And I think I'll just stick with it. Thank you for your advice, but I'm going to stick with it. You've got to do that. You've got to protect your own voice, your own vision, your own story, your own characters. And eventually, I mean, if this really interests you, if you are really heart and soul in that book, somebody else will get it. You have to find the people who will get it, and you have to protect your book long enough for it to find its audience. I mean, that's the only way I know how to do it. There are no rules. That's just the rule I follow, you know.
I'm curious about your process. I know you've spoken about your process in the past, but I know, like, Thomas Harris, this, you know, writer of Silence of the Lambs,
Sure,
Canticle,
yeah.
he says whenever he writes one of his books, he finds himself in his own mind literally sitting down with the characters and listening to them speak.
Right, that happens.
Does that happen to you?
They come to life on the page for me. The cliche is absolutely true. And sometimes characters come to life that are completely unplanned. Like when I was writing Interview with the Vampire, I really didn't have any interest in the character of Lestat. He was just the antagonist, you know, the bad guy. I mean, it was Louis that I was interested in. That was the voice. But Lestat just grew and grew and grew. Like in the corner of my eye, this character just became incredibly coherent and forceful. And by the time I went to do a sequel to that book, it was Lestat really that I was interested in. I'd kind of done Louis. You know, I'd ceased to be Louis by the time I wrote the sequel. And I really was interested in Lestat, but that wasn't planned. That wasn't something that I could have foreseen. You know, it's just, you let them go, they start talking to each other, they start arguing, and you know when you've taken a false step. You know, it doesn't feel right, it's not authentic. You scrap those pages in the old days, or you delete now, you know, and you go back and you begin to do the scene again. I did, when I was writing Interview with the Vampire, I did maybe 40, 50 pages that were all wrong with the child vampire Claudia. They just were wrong. And I thought, what am I doing wrong here? She's talking too much. This is absurd. I'm not maintaining the mood here. I mean, this is terrible. And then I rethought the character, and I thought what I wanted to hear, this soft voice coming from her, this woman's voice, very soft, coming from a character that had a hard time articulating her pain. And I redid those pages, you know. It's just, but all of this is instinctive. It's, thank you. It's sort of unconscious. And yet it's, in a way, there's a governor working there all the time in your mind, demanding that you do the best you can at this.
The process that happened with Lestat, do you see that happening with Reuben?
Reuben just got more interesting to me all the time as I wrote. And one of the things I really enjoyed doing with Reuben was somebody that was not like the regretful and tortured vampires that I had done before. Somebody that was a little more firmly rooted in what was happening. I mean, Reuben is much more accepting of this. And I wanted that affirmation. I wanted that strength, that exuberance in this character right in the present moment. I was really asking myself, what would you do right now in the 21st century if you got this gift? You know, if you could change into this powerful beast creature that was completely conscious. I mean, how would you? I would do what Reuben does, and so that was something I was going for. The other characters sprang to life one by one, and they're still doing that in my mind. When I go on with it, you know, there will be surprises and so forth, but I'm not sure. I don't feel that any character quite like Lestat sprang to life out of the corner of my eye, but I'll know when I go back.